Well, good morning, guys. It is Thursday morning, about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I just talked to Art a little bit ago, and we're going to do a sea trial today. It's Thursday. I believe today is the 8th, July 8th. So we're going to take it out. I rounded up everything out of my shed. The bumpers, you know, they're dirty and all. Everything's been in the shed for a while. I had to stop by West Marine and get a couple longer dock lines. Here we go. Wes's editing and camera situation. So anyway, and got a, you know, I couldn't find my sea bag. You know, not like it's got safety equipment. I know there's a fire extinguisher on the boat, you know, a handheld one for emergency. And there's also one, obviously, all boats, most boats have, you know, fire extinguishers in the actual, hold on guys, in the actual boat itself. Down in the engine bay, in the engine compartment, there's a fire extinguisher that automatically goes off if the engine gets too hot. Anyway, basic stuff, kind of running around. I didn't get in until late last night, and woke up kind of late this morning, just trying to dust myself off, grabbed a cup of coffee and started digging through the shed and pulling some of the things out. Anyway, rounded up the propellers, put them in the back of the truck, some towels wrapped around them. There's propeller boxes that they come in, but I didn't necessarily want to bring them into boxes, and I just got to bring the boxes back or whatever. And they're the old plywood boxes, I believe the original ones from Fountain that they give you with the little goofy hasp on them from the local hardware store or whatever that they built, and the handles on them and everything. So they're not like some, you know, polycarbonate high quality boxes like, you know, you can get Herring or Mercury, the new boxes that they have that contains propellers. Nothing like that anymore. So anyway, I got the propellers, the bumpers, some dock lines. I stopped by the West Marine again, like I already said. I got a couple 15-foot lines, which are short, but they're nice for the ones, the cleats that are right close to the dock. I got a 25-foot line and a 35-foot line, so a different combination of all of them. Anyway, and got all that stuff. The certificate's already on the boat, the U.S. Coast Guard registered certificate and an envelope. And also, I just brought a copy of the declaration page for the insurance or whatever. And as you guys know, I told you I already bought an anchor. So we'll see if it fits down in the anchor locker box. And just start putting some of this stuff on the boat. Wait for Art to get over there. He's running some errand this morning, so he's running behind also. So we'll see. We're going to take it out. We're going to take it out on the western shore side of the Chesapeake Bay in Anne Arundel County, which is Annapolis Sandy Point State Park. So we'll take it, drop it in the water, and fire it up first at the dock, make sure all the oil pressure and oil levels and everything is good and nothing obvious. And again, it's a speedboat and it's been worked on for a while, and even though you work out all the bugs, and Alan's a top mechanic, Dan's a top mechanic, everybody, you know, works hard at what they do, there's always usually something. So we'll see if there's anything going to be going on with it that needs to be tweaked before we take it out on the water. So that's pretty much it for now. Heading across the Bay Bridge again. It's a beautiful day, very grateful, and looks a little bit choppy out, not much, maybe a 1.5 foot chop. The wind's blowing probably 5-7 miles an hour out of the northwest. So usually Art, when we take the 35 out, when we sea trialed it a couple times when I had some issues with the out drives, we took it out at Sandy Point, and Art pretty much runs past Sandy Point Lighthouse, up and around, or out to the Baltimore Lighthouse, and then back down for a good, you know, I don't know, 15, 20-minute run, and check it out. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. I'll try to get some video of it if I don't run out of data or storage on my cell phone, because that's how I'm recording. So I'm trying to learn how to download all that to the laptop, get a video editor, and post all this stuff. I'm going to learn. My daughter's coming over this weekend. Maybe she can help me. She's a little bit more computer savvy than I am. So we'll talk to you soon. God bless. Guys, so we're here at Lilly Sport Boats. We're about ready to take a sea bag. Alan's getting everything together. We're getting ready to go out. Okay guys, we're here at Sandy Point State Park. Art and Alan have already fired the boat up. We just launched it. Got the boat full of everything we need. Alan's got his tool bag. We're heading down now. So we got going on. We're gonna go for a sea trial. guys. So, what an exciting adventure. Just like I would have expected it to be. The first sea trial on the 42 Fountain. Well, just like usual, and I said there's always going to be bugs to iron out, and you know it always is. Nothing major, but a couple things happened. I didn't record it all. It's kind of windy, and I don't have the correct setup for wind screens and all that for doing high performance runs. Let me just start out with saying this. We ran the boat all the way out past the Baltimore Lighthouse, and then came back and headed straight down the channel of the bay, heading south towards the Bay Bridge. Art drove it for a good 5, 10, 15 minutes. The boat runs incredible. I mean, pulls hard. It actually puts you in the seat. There's a lot of torque. It's a monster. Problem is, the speedometer, as I had already mentioned to you guys before, is a mechanical liquid filled with pressure that comes from the transom, a line that feeds the, and we're not using that no more. I don't know why, but my phone, I couldn't find where the GPS speed was. I usually had an app to pull up. So we don't know how fast we were going. I'm going to tell you right now, we were doing well over 90 miles an hour, if not 100 or over 100 miles an hour. Rolling. And again, this is just a guess, but I mean, we were flat out boogieing. It was stable, the boat was. And again, the way we were trimming it and the trim tabs and the drives, you know, there's a couple things with the boat that make it interesting. Because it's a race setup, the actual throttles don't stay where they're supposed to. You know, because it's race, your hands are supposed to be on them all the time, which causes a problem because when you go to trim your drives, your tabs, you kind of have to take your hand off the throttle to do that because your fingers just don't reach, and you can't unless you reach over with your right hand. You got to let go of the steering wheel, so it's kind of a dealio with that. But Alan was there trimming it with me. Art, you know, let me take over. Art sat in the passenger seat. Alan was right off my left, flanking off my shoulder, adjusting the trim and the drives. And first of all, I'm going to tell you right now, at 3,000 RPMs, 3,200, the boat was running approximately 65, 70 miles an hour, cruising at 3,000 RPMs, 3,200. And then as you go up, I mean, there's 3/4 of the throttle still left, you know, on the range on the throttle. And it kept pulling and pulling and pulling. Art only really ran it up to about maybe 42, 4,500, maybe once or twice. And again, we were rolling. And I want to say, if we weren't doing 90, we were doing 89.5. It was pulling hard and still had more left. They are 18-inch 4-blade Mercury 31-inch props on it. So they grab. And I don't know how much slippage there was, but it sure didn't feel like a whole lot. I mean, I'm guessing it was probably no more than 12, I've heard up to 18 or 20% slippage on some props. I doubt that these props were slipping that much. The fucking boat was gone. Exciting. Puts you in a seat. So with all that said, I'm probably running it. Now, a couple of the gauges we noticed right off the bat when we started it up. And Alan checked everything several times in the engine compartment and made sure the seat strainers were swirling and the intercooler strainer was swirling when we're underway for water pressure to come up into it, all of those kinds of things. So everything was working fine in that aspect of it. But a couple of gauges were reading funny. The water pressure gauge on the port motor was stuck. I think it's got a piece of trash in it because it actually has a line that goes to it that reads water pressure for the engine. Both engines were cool to touch. One of the gauges on the port motor for the water temperature, which is electronic or electric, it was reading high. As soon as you start the motor, like within 30 seconds of starting the motor, it said 160, which right away says that it's measuring wrong. So it was, the motor was cool. You could put your hands on the exhaust, on the blower, on the valve covers. Nothing was hot about it. There was no overheat. So the gauge is bad, most likely. And then the starboard motor, the water temperature on that one, I think was reading too low. So, I don't know, there's some gauge issues or maybe connection issues. But, again, the motors to touch and to cool, nothing was hot. You could touch the exhaust, you could touch the valve covers. Everything was fine, it wasn't overheating, so we do need to replace some gauges. Okay, 2 other things happened. Not a big deal, but we noticed the port side drive shaft that goes where it goes into the transmission on the, I believe it's a BAM Cyborg transmission, velvet drive. The rear seal's leaking. I don't think it was like a sieve, but it was leaking. So that's got to be addressed. I don't know if that's something that Alan can do in the boat or the trans has got to come out. I know the drive shaft's got to come out and the U-joint and all that from the transmission itself where it bolts up. But I don't know if that's something Alan does or we got to send it out. But the transmission was working mechanically fine. It's just got a rear main seal leaking. Not between the engine and the trans, but between the trans and the drive shaft from what I understand from what Alan said. That's the first issue, other than the gauges. The gauges need to be addressed. And then, of all things, we went to put the hatch up so Alan could check the engine bay one more time and go over everything. And the freaking bolt on the back hinge on the port side hatch, as we were raising it, completely, the whole hatch fell down, broke the ram. The ram's got a little dent in the hydraulic piston. I guess the bolt came loose from the hinge pin bolt that goes through the hinge pin. Somebody must not have tightened it up or whatever. Simple mistake, but I probably need a new ram, maybe, and definitely need some fiberglass work, because when it came down, it bugged the fiberglass right where the hatch meets the back seat area right there. Other than that, again, I already knew there was going to be issues. There's going to be bugs. It's a high-performance boat. It's got 1,600 horsepower, 2 motors, 800 each. Transmissions, hydraulic transmissions, number 5 drives, big old 18-inch 31-pitch propellers. Something's going to break or something's not going to work, even though it was re-rigged and everything. So we're going to work those bugs out in the next couple weeks, however long it takes. So again, we're back to patience and money and funds, probably, like always. So all I can say to hem all this up and to top all this off, I am excited that the boat is done. The ball's at the 2-yard line. But man, oh man, I've never been on a boat this fast as I was on this one today, ever. And my 35 ran 100, 101 the first 2 weeks that I had it. And I don't know if I stretched the valve springs out or burnt a valve or whatever. I could never get it to run past 96 or 97 miles an hour. And that was in the 35. And you look across the water when you're going, you're boogieing. I'm telling you, this boat, and it's a 42, with those blower motors, Teague, Griffin rebuild, Lilly rig, this freaking boat was boogieing, straight up getting it. I mean, so, you guys might notice that I don't have my glasses. Yeah, my prescription nighttime glasses, long distance glasses for seeing anything past 20 feet. Well, wouldn't you know, all the wind coming off, and I know better. I've lost hats in the bay, I've lost all kinds of stuff. Credit cards dropping through the docks. I know better. You get near the water, you're going to lose stuff. You goofball. What's wrong with you, Wes? You already know. So I'm videoing, and all of a sudden, boom, my glasses catch wind, and they're gone. Boom, they're in the bay somewhere, right off the Sandy Point. Well, what a wonderful thing during a maiden voyage to lose your glasses and to go on the fastest boat ride you've been on ever. I do think, and I'm again estimating, and I will find out how to do the app on my phone with the stupid GPS so we know how fast we're going until I get the speedometer. Because the speedometer needs to be ordered and the dash needs to be done in order for the speedometer to be installed. GPS, global positioning in the dash, so I don't have to do that. But I'm telling you, the boat was running every bit 95, 100 miles an hour, and Art seems to think it was running over 100. Art's been racing for 30 years, and he said, he looked over and he was smiling, and I was smiling, and Alan not so much smiling. He's a mechanic. He's like, I gotta get this done, you know. But the boat was gifted. So thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you, Lily, Alan, Dan, all you guys, Renee, everybody at Lilly Sport Boats. Thank you. So now let's just get this thing finished up and get the things ironed out so I can enjoy it maybe in the next couple weekends or whatever. And I'm excited. But again, thank you guys for watching, my viewers, YouTube viewers. And again, please subscribe to this channel and click the thumbs up button and leave me a comment or something. Tell me what you think about this. Again, this is all new to me. I'm just going to try to get this situated with the whole videos and doing the Speedboatmaniac, I don't know, memoirs. Whatever you want to say. Whatever you want, however you want to look at it. So anyway, thanks for listening. Y'all have a good day. Had a good day out on the water. God's been good. Thank you so much. See you guys. God bless.